Hi, welcome to Courageously You with Martha Davis Alexander. I am your host, Martha, and this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, the #1 internet talk network. Today, I want to talk a little bit about holiday expectations and setting boundaries. So holidays are a big thing. For those of you who are new to me, I am a recovering people pleaser. My parents were divorced, and I developed a lot of survival skills. One of them was around holidays. And if you would talk to my brothers or myself, we would tell you that around Christmas breakfast, we're done. We'd just like it to be over. And a lot of that is because we just didn't, we knew that we could never meet the expectations of both of our parents, as well as we didn't have boundaries. We couldn't set boundaries as kids, right? For some of them we could, but we didn't know that boundaries were even a thing to set. I didn't learn that until a few years ago. I used to sing the song, Don't Fence Me In. I know it's a really old Western song. I'm not a Western girl, but Don't Fence Me In was my theme. Don't set me boundaries. Don't set me in. Don't give me rules. Was kind of my theme in life. So expectations. What are expectations, particularly in terms of the holidays? The very first expectation that you might run into is the expectation of how the holidays should be celebrated and what the holidays mean. So, here's what I want to tell you. It is your choice what the holidays mean to you. And I would strongly encourage you, take whatever holiday there is that you have feelings about that may be resentment or frustration or stress or overwhelm. Take each of the holidays and decide what it means to you. What does it mean to you? And how do you want to celebrate it? Not what's expected, not what you're obligated to do, but what does it mean to you? So, the next expectation is obligation, right? An expectation that you will, I've heard this from so many people, that you will attend social events and that you're expected to do certain tasks and others don't, or you're expected to be there even when it's not convenient, or you're expected to celebrate a certain way, or you're expected to do a certain thing with gifts, right? So expectations are things that other people or you think you should do, should celebrate, should it's how it should be. Expectations lead to disappointment, they lead to frustration, they lead to resentment. So, how do you deal with an expectation, particularly one of the holidays? I'm going to tell you right now. You write them all down and you decide if those are shoulds or things that you want to choose to do. So let me be really clear. If you do something, it is a choice to do it. Whether it's an expectation or not, you are choosing to live up to that obligation or to live up to that expectations. You are choosing that. So make intentional choices as opposed to going with the flow choices with respect to the holiday will make you so much happier in the holidays, right? Do I choose to to go somewhere for the holidays. So there was a time that my mom and I got really tired of cooking Thanksgiving dinner for 25 people. And yes, it was my mom and I. My mom chose it, and I felt obligated to help her, responsible to help her. It was expected. So now, in truth, I chose, right? I could have said, yeah, no, not happening. I'm going to go watch football with the boys, have fun at that. I did not do that, right? I chose instead to live up to her expectations. So one year we said, we're not doing it. We're not cooking. You guys are going to have to figure something else out. So my brothers all got together. I have 3 older brothers, and they got together and they decided to buy us dinner, to take us out to dinner. And we went somewhere really special. So we lived near Yosemite National Park in California. And we went to, there's a restaurant called the Awani. It's under new management now, but it has an absolutely stunning view, right? It's in Yosemite and it's beautiful. And the room is beautiful and it's white tablecloths, and it was beautifully done. My mom and I didn't have to, we stayed there. We didn't have to do anything, but order, I don't even remember if we could order something other than the turkey dinner, right? I think it was all the turkey dinner. And it was hard to get into. It was hard for the boys to get the reservations. My brothers, I call them the boys, just to be clear. It was hard for them to get the reservations, and they picked up the tab, and it was fairly expensive. I don't believe at that point I was old enough to drink, so it saved them some money, but everyone else was old enough to drink. So it was a pretty penny. And I have to say that while it was a lovely, lovely dinner, it did not meet our what we termed celebrating Thanksgiving. We really thought it was going to be our favorite all-time Thanksgiving. And it didn't work out for us because we didn't really think about or set intentions as to what the holidays meant to us and how we wanted to celebrate. My mom and I, we were just like, we're tired of working our asses off to feed you people, right? We're tired of doing that while you watch football. We're tired of having all these people over and doing all this work. We're tired of it. We don't want to get up at 5 a.m. to do the pies and whatever. So we went completely the opposite way. And it was, none of us would say that was our favorite Thanksgiving, right? None of us would say that. So we've tried different things, right? We've tried not having additional people over. We've tried having everybody over. We've tried so many different things, getting rid of some of the traditional food that is so much more difficult. For instance, we do a candied apple. It was so yummy. And we stopped doing it because we had to do it like 2 days before because it took a day and a half to do it. So we kind of, we took out the things, and we set intentionally, what does this holiday mean to us? So for us, the Friday before Thanksgiving in 2015, my mom died. And that Thanksgiving was really hard. It was really hard, as I'm sure some of you have experienced and some of you know, and the rest of you can imagine. And we made that Thanksgiving intentionally about my mom. It was our celebration of her life and being thankful for her and memories of her. And that's how we dealt with that Thanksgiving. And it wasn't the best Thanksgiving, but it didn't turn out to be the worst Thanksgiving either, because we laughed. She was obviously there, right? She was there in our love and in our conversation and in our stories. So for those of you who have lost someone in the last few years during COVID or whatever, that worked really well for our family. And if it's a suggestion that helps you, I hope it works for your family too. So other holiday expectations and boundaries. So for me, my boundary around that meal, around the Thanksgiving meal, when my mom was alive, was that I didn't want to do I didn't want to start 3 days before spending my entire time in the kitchen. That wasn't that I really didn't dig that at all. So we stopped doing some of the dishes. Disappointed a few people, but we said, if you want to learn how to do it, we'd be happy to teach you. They didn't pick up on that. So we let that go, right? And then we started being a little bit more casual about some of the other things. And the boys cleaned the kitchen after we were done cooking. And other things happened, right? We set other things in place that made it easier. We didn't invite people to the house that some of us didn't like. We had boundaries around what that family Thanksgiving looked like and what we were willing to do and what we weren't willing to do. And there were some things that went by the way after my mom died, that we said we did that for her and now that's gone. So we're not doing that anymore. That's not going to be how we move forward. So really, all of this was about defining how you want to, rather than living with the expectation that someone else has of how to celebrate something or what needs to happen or the things that you need to do, right? The obligations that you have. Deciding whether you want to do those obligations, whether you want to do those things, whether that's important to you or not, whether that's something that's special, whether you can learn to be happy in the obligation, to find joy and gratitude in being the person to do that. There are certain things that I love about the fall season. One of them is decorating. I love to decorate the table. I love to do that. I love to have special things and friends and family. And I haven't had that since COVID because we moved far away from everybody else during COVID. Long story that doesn't really relate. And so we haven't had that. It's been our family. And I love that. So I had to make a decision as to how to make the holidays more special for me. Now, I'm a people pleaser, recovering. So my view of a holiday has always been how can I please everybody else? What are my expectations towards pleasing other people, and will they be pleased? And then you do all this stuff and people have fun, but a people pleaser, if you don't get acknowledged for everything that you've done and how flippin' amazing you are, there can be exhaustion, overwhelm, resentment, right? You're not getting the kudos, which is what a people pleaser is looking for being loved, being liked, being appreciated. That's what a people pleaser is looking for. And if you're not getting that, man, the anger, the resentment, the wowee can really come up and bite you as the people pleaser. And it can turn your holidays into something that isn't as much fun. So again, first step, deciding what you want. What do you enjoy about the holidays? What traditions do you like, right? What of the food do you like? What is your favorite part? And how do you make that part of the centerpiece of that holiday? So an example is my daughter loves to do community service projects. And Thanksgiving, it's really hard time to do that. That all the food banks are full. You can donate food, but it's really hard to serve the food. And we haven't been here long enough to be kind of set up to do that. So one of the things that my daughter has started doing that we do together now as a family, and that we all love, those of us who participate, is we do bags for the homeless. We do whatever, if there's some food that can last, right? Like granola bars or fruit or canned fruit, or, you know, the little packages that are easy to open, hand warmers, masks when it was COVID, excuse me. And that's something that I am really looking forward to doing this year around Thanksgiving. We love to do it, excuse me again, over the holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, those are the times when there seems to be a need for more, right? And this year, my mother-in-law sent a whole bunch of clothes and some other things that we can share with as well, that we can hand out. And we're going to thin through some of our blankets and some of the other things that we have an excess of, and have those as well. And it is something to be thankful for us, showing my husband and I both our why we're on this earth is to contribute to other people. So for us, being thankful and showing that gratitude by sharing with others is a very meaningful way for us to celebrate. And we also both kind of choose our own ways of doing that. This year, it will be doing whatever project we're doing for the homeless. And I'm really looking forward to that. And then sitting down and eating and having our own celebration of that is amazing. So for us, we set intentions for what we want to do. My son probably won't go do the homeless thing, and that's okay. I don't set that he has to do something, right? He can do it or not as he chooses. So what about the rest of the holidays? There's an expectation I have felt really strained. There's an expectation around the holidays that, you know, I at some point have been, I need to spend a lot of money to make my kids happy, right? That it's about that for them. Well, I created that. It's me who created the expectation that I would spend a lot of money. And so slowly starting to reel it back into something else is going to be really important. And how I'm going to do that, all three of my kids are so very talented. So whether I'm going to ask them to do homemade projects, right? I'm going to ask them. Now, my kids are all adults, right? One of them has a full-time job. The other one has a pretty serious part-time job. And the other one's in school. And I want them to, one of my kids is a songwriter. You can find him on SoundCloud or Amazon. He goes by Burbs, $BURB. He's a rapper, and he's quite talented, if I do say so myself. I would love him to write a song for me, or for me and my husband, or for the family. I would love, 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 love that as a gift. I would love, one of my kids is a jewelry designer. I would love for him to design a piece of jewelry for me. He doesn't have to make it. Just design something that he thinks I would love. And my daughter also is a songwriter, singer, and I would love to have that, or a letter of you know, something, right? Or when my kids were little, they did coupons, and I loved that. There are things that we can do for each other that don't cost money and that are, in a lot of cases, more meaningful, right? I love the gifts or the things that you get to choose a gift that is under 25 bucks or whatever. You can't spend a ton of money on something. You have to, that means you have to really think about that person, that you have to, it's easy to spend a lot of money. Even when you don't have it. I know that because I've done it. It's easy. And expectations, and kids like a lot of stuff, and yet it falls flat sometimes. So if you really think about somebody, one of my sons is the best gift giver in the world. He really, really, really takes the time to think about the person and to pick individual gifts that are amazing. And they have a ton of meaning, right? So we're going to come back and we're talking about holiday expectations and boundaries. This is Courageously You with Martha. And I'm your host, Martha Davis Alexander. You can reach me at marthadalexander@gmail.com or at 805-422-6865 or at my website, courageouslyoucoaching.com. And we will be back and we're going to continue to talk about expectations, boundaries, monies, all of that stuff with the holidays, because it's really important. And I want to share with you my tips and what that looks like. So stay here, stay tuned. We'll be right back after these short messages. All right, welcome back. This is Martha Alexander. This is Courageously You with Martha. We are on the WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network and Going Bold Network. This is the #1 internet talk network out there. So share it with your friends. And by the way, while we're here, let's just like and share this show and subscribe. All right, back to holidays and expectations and boundaries. So we've talked about how expectations are disguised shoulds, but you really have the choice and you choose to meet the expectations or you don't. If you're going to, if there's an expectation and you don't want to do it, you need to set a boundary, a healthy, natural boundary that says, I don't enjoy this, and I'm wondering if someone else would enjoy it more, or if we can share this task, or if we can rotate this through everybody. I heard a story recently of a son who says, you can bring 2 dishes to my house for Christmas. If you bring a third one, it's not coming out. You can bring 2 dishes. That's all you get to bring. That's it. And that's a boundary. That's saying, I don't want that much food, or we don't need that much variety, or whatever, for whatever reason. That is his boundary. And people respect it, or the food doesn't go out. And that's really healthy to set a boundary. Now, boundaries can be a money boundary. We're only going to spend this amount on each other. This year, my husband and I said that we did enough stuff in the house and we bought enough stuff for our birthdays that we're not exchanging gifts. We'll do letters to each other or whatever it is, but we're not exchanging gifts. We're not wrapping anything. There might be little things under the tree. So socks. I always get socks, and I love socks, just so you know. I used to get perfume, but I don't wear it anymore, so I don't get perfume. So small things. And that's great. That's fun. That's fun. Little things are fun. And so you can set boundaries. What do you want? What will make your holidays special? For me, we're going back to Thanksgiving for me. And that's, I want the bird early because my favorite part of Thanksgiving are the turkey sandwiches in the evening. So I don't want to be eating turkey dinner at 5 o'clock because then I'm eating my turkey sandwich at 10 o'clock and I don't want to eat that late. So for us, the bird's got to be done early. We have that lunch and then I get my favorite part, which is my turkey sandwich. What's your favorite part? What do you like? What do you want for dessert? Does it have to be pumpkin and pecan pie? In my household, it was always pumpkin and pecan pie. And because of my kids, and frankly, when I did Weight Watchers, I found out how many calories were in pecan pie. You don't have to look it up. And I said, I'm not going to eat that again unless it's just a single bite. It's just not worth it to me. So we stopped doing pecan pie and we started doing apple pie. Everyone loves apple pie, right? You might like it in different ways. Some people like it with ice cream a la mode. Some of us like it with cheese. Just saying, not melted cheese on top. I don't go that far, but I do like my cheese with my pie. Got that from my dad. Might sound gross to you, and that's okay. You don't have to eat it that way. You can choose. So what are things that you don't like, right? I don't need stuffing. And so we don't make stuffing anymore because really, well, my husband might make a small batch of it just because, but it will be a small batch. What are the things you like? What are the things that you don't really like? And you got to pick and choose. It's so phenomenal that you get choices. You get to choose all of it. So with the choices and the boundaries that you set come conversations, right? So how do you have those difficult conversations? Again, something that people pleasers struggle with, right? I'm going to say something that I don't think you're going to like. Therefore, I'm either going to hem and haw or I'm going to come at it a certain way and it's going to feel like manipulation or it's going to feel icky to the other person. Here's the thing. It's a straight out conversation. Hey, let's talk about Thanksgiving. I would really, really like it if we could eat early because I love turkey sandwiches and I want to have my turkey sandwich around 6, which means that we need to eat by about 1 or 2. And I can eat less and have my turkey sandwich. And then I want to have, I want chips with my sandwich, just so y'all know. So we need to have these things on hand for that because that's the important meal for me is that's turkey sandwich. Always will be. And everyone else will go, oh, yeah, okay, we can do that, right? We can get up early or we can, do whatever and do that. And that's because they care what's important to me. They care what makes me happy, right? And if someone else was like, no, I really need my evening needs to have the hot meal, then I guess you have to compromise. You have to talk about what's important, why that's important, what you can do differently, what can be done to accommodate both of you, and go from there. If someone told me that, I'd say, well, okay, then I am going to have my turkey sandwich while you guys all eat that other dinner. And I'm going to have my potato chips and that. because that's what's important to me. So really just deciding what's important to you, what do you like, what do you want, and setting healthy boundaries. This is my lane. This is what's important to me. This is what I want. And this is what I'm willing to do to make it happen. This is what I'm willing to compromise on. And the conversation goes like, hey, let's talk about X holiday. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's really important to me. I've really thought about this a long time. And these are the things that are really important to me. What's important to you? What are your intentions for the holidays? How do you want to spend it? What is the important part for you? And then really meeting in the middle. So I really don't enjoy doing this. That really kind of ruins it for me, or that really makes me unhappy, or that really kind of changes my mood when I feel like I have to do this. Is there another way to get that done? Right? So really exploring, sharing, and the view of this conversation for the holidays is to just set out what it is you want, how you want to celebrate, what's important to you, what things you don't want to do, right? What are those boundaries? What are those things that you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. For me, I'm not going to eat that hot turkey dinner in the evening. You guys can all eat that in the evening, but I'm going to have my sandwich. And if I have to put my turkey in the refrigerator, get it cold, I'm happy to do that. That's what I want. So, what is it for you? What does that look like? If you have a small budget for gifts or whatever, then saying, I am really uncomfortable spending a lot of money for gifts. How can we resolve that? We had friends once who, they're still our friends. We just don't exchange Christmas gifts anymore. We exchanged, and it was so much fun. And they gave so much, and it was overwhelming to me. It was really uncomfortable for me. And they would say, well, we got it all of it at the dollar store. And it didn't matter. It was so overwhelming to me that I had a really hard time with it. So we ended up, excuse me, and the dog, we ended up stopping doing that holiday share together because it was so overwhelming to me, and so difficult for me. And now I kind of wish we'd said, okay, here's the dollar limit. Here's what we're going to do. You can get as much as you want. You can't spend over this amount of money, right? We all have to stay within a budget. So what is that? I'm also in a networking group, and we're talking about doing a mug exchange, not a gift exchange, but a mug exchange or an ornament exchange, or something. So limiting it to something, right? I'm in another group, and it's $25. That's all you get to spend. You can be as creative as you want, and that's what you get to spend. And it's fun, right? I don't stress about it. I know exactly what the expectation is, what the boundaries are, and I can live within that. And I agreed to them, so they're not really expectations. So what is it that you need to let go of, or that you have the opportunity to let go of in terms of expectations, obligations, and things that you don't enjoy? What do you have the opportunity to let go of to really enjoy this holiday season? Whatever holidays you celebrate, what is it that you let go of? So society has a lot of expectations too, and we haven't even talked about society's expectations, right? Hallmark Channel, we started Christmas in July. Now, I admit it. I'm a sap. I love Hallmark movies. Um, and I'm sorry, it's not always a happy ending. It's just not realistic. It doesn't always go the Hallmark movie way. So what is it? What are your views of the holidays? What do they look like? What would make you happy? And how can you set your goals, your dreams, your what you want, and boundaries around that with communication of all of that to make your holidays the best you possibly can, despite any circumstance, despite even with grief, even with financial hardships, even with whatever. So one of my favorite all-time gifts from my mom was when she was in graduate school, and it was after my parents got divorced, and it was for my birthday. And my dad and stepmother always bought a lot, which I loved. Don't think I didn't, because I did. And my mom didn't have the money. So she made she had a tree. It was a manzanita tree, which grow in California. And she had the tree was just stuck in and with cement, whatever. It was in a cement pot. And she tied small gifts on it. And I mean, like I got bobby pins, and in a group of 100 bobby pins, there were probably 30 small gifts tied to the tree that were all bobby pins. It didn't matter to me that they were bobby pins. It was so fun opening that, and it was so cool how the tree looked. It really was one of my favorite gifts my mom ever gave me, was that tree. So it doesn't have to be expensive if it's meaningful. What are your boundaries? How do you want to celebrate the holidays? From my heart to yours, I wish you a beautiful, beautiful discussion and thought process. So here's your homework, because I love giving things that you can do, actions that you can take. This week, should you choose to accept my challenge, I challenge you to journal about what holidays you want to celebrate, and then individually what they mean to you, how they could be meaningful to you if they aren't, what makes them meaningful to you, what you need to let go of in terms of obligations or expectations, what obligations and expectations are there that you don't want, and what boundaries you want to set around all of that to make the holiday something that is meaningful, joyful, and magical for you and those you celebrate with. Have a phenomenal week. I will be back here next week with a show that's going to be on holidays again. We are going to be talking about holidays again until the holidays are over. I will be talking about tips and tricks for the holidays and things you can do to make it more joyous. So until next week, have a fabulous day, fabulous week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.